Food bloggers, hi, how are you today? Thank you so much for tuning in to the Eat Blog Talk podcast. This is the place for food bloggers to get information and inspiration to accelerate your blog's growth and ultimately help you to achieve your freedom, whether that's financial, personal, or professional. I'm Megan Porta. I have been a food blogger for 13 years, so I understand how isolating food blogging can be. I'm on a mission to motivate, inspire, and most importantly, let each and every food blogger, including you, know that you are heard and supported. Do you feel like it's easy or hard to ask for help when it comes to your business? Teri-Ann Carty joins me in this episode. She is from Teri-AnnCarty.com. She is an amazing food blogger with mad photography skills, and she has a really inspiring story to share as well. In this interview, Teri talks about how she got to the point where she knew she needed to start asking for help, not just in her life, but with her food blog as well, and how this opened up the doors for so many good things to come in. It can be a really scary thing to ask for help and to know even where to start with it. Having the courage to do it in the first place is going to be what you need to set good things in motion. This is the basis for our entire conversation. Teri-Ann is extremely inspiring. You are going to love this episode. It is number 534, sponsored by RankIQ. Hello there, food bloggers. Are you wanting to tap into additional revenue and improve your site experience for your users? If you're saying yes to all of this, then Chicory might be a really great fit for you. Chicory is a leading monetization platform for food bloggers, enabling you to integrate highly relevant, shoppable ads into your recipe content and earn revenue from top CPG brands. Chicory's hyper-contextual ads and shoppable technology will help you improve your site experience and engagement, allowing your readers to go from inspiration to checkout in just a few clicks. Enjoy easy installation and ongoing access to the Chicory team at zero cost to you. Chicory makes it easy to track your earnings, optimize your blog content using recipe insights, and connect with its team. Here is a testimonial from a happy Chicory user. Quote, "Cooking and baking is my passion. Chicory makes it simple and easy for me to share that passion with the Where is My Spoon audience, providing a seamless purchasing journey for my readers and an effective monetization model for my blog." End quote. That is from Adina Beck from Where is My Spoon. Head over to eatblogtalk.com/resources, scroll down to the Chicory logo and click that button that says Learn More About Chicory. Or you can go to chicory.co/food bloggers to learn more and to sign up. Now back to the episode. Teri-Ann Carty is a Toronto native renowned for her culinary creations and photography skills. Formerly a high-end restaurant manager grappling with addiction, she chose a different path, traveling solo and becoming a certified yoga instructor. Now settled in Toronto with her hubby and their 2 cats, Teri-Ann focuses on recipe development and photography while also teaching yoga. Her journey to sobriety fuels her determination for future endeavors. Well, hello, Teri-Ann. Thank you so much for joining me on Eat Blog Talk today. How are you?
I'm so good, Megan. How are you?
I'm good too. Having a good start to the day. We're going to talk about giving yourself permission to ask for help as a food blogger, which I think is such an important and relevant topic. But first, before we get into that, do you have a fun fact to share?
Well, I actually had 2, and my husband was saying that I should share the first one. So I'm going to share that my fun fact is that I'm actually from a very, very, very small town, not even a town. It was called a hollow. So the first place that I ever remember being was in a place called Plum Hollow. It had 3 houses, a cheese factory, and a witch.
You have got to be kidding.
No, I am not kidding. She was written about in the history books, and that was something that we were told when we were very little. Apparently, she was very, very real, and it kept us inside our house. I can tell you that.
Oh my! And a cheese factory?
A cheese factory.
Where is this place?
It is a very small hollow, a very small place outside of Athens, Ontario, which again is a village. So it is a hollow outside of a village in a very small area in Eastern Ontario.
Oh
So
my
Plum
gosh.
Hollow for any of my Plum Hollowins out there. Uh,
That is the most I've laughed at a fun fact ever. I think that is the coolest thing. Plum Hollow. Who in the world can say they're from Plum Hollow? Well, Teri-Ann, you can apparently, but that's so funny. We had a town near where I grew up in rural Iowa that sounds very similar, but it's not nearly as cool. I don't even remember the name of the town, but it had like the population was like 18 people or something like that. And we used to make fun of it all the time, like, ooh, the population's growing. They added a human.
yeah, exactly. We're going to have to
Yeah.
change the sign, you
Right,
know?
right, exactly.
Well, the Plum Hollow Cheese Factory was amazing. It had the best fresh curd, and it literally ruined me for the rest of my life. So it is, yeah, it was a cool upbringing for sure.
I mean, who wouldn't want to live next to a cheese factory too? I do.
Exactly.
Oh,
Exactly.
I might go seek out this place.
Yeah, it was good.
Oh, all right. Well, that is the coolest fun fact ever. Thank you for sharing that. Your husband was right. That was a good one to
Yes,
share.
yes. Maybe if we ever chat again, I'll save my other fun fact for another time.
Yes, save it again. Don't
Yeah,
forget it.
yeah. Okay. Okay.
So, I want to hear a little bit about your blog. I was just looking at it before we started talking. It's one of the most beautiful blogs I've ever seen. So, tell us a little bit about your blog.
Well, my blog started the blog that you see today is just about a year old. I've been working with somebody, her name is Satori, and she's amazing. And I really wanted something fresh. I wanted something beautiful. I wanted people to really love being on the blog. I wanted people to really appreciate the pictures because photography is my jam. So I really wanted people just to come and want to be there because the photography is so beautiful. And I appreciate it so much that you said that because we have worked really hard as a team to make this vision happen. And now I just need lots of more eyeballs on the site, which I'm sure we'll get into. Yeah.
Yeah, that will happen eventually. That's part of the journey, right?
Yes.
Okay, so your blog is a year old. Did you have a blog prior to that?
I did. So the blog that I started with was developed in 2015. I went on it was supposed to be a year sabbatical. It ended up being an 8-month sabbatical. I quit my job as a restaurant manager I had been managing this high-end Italian restaurant for the better part of 12 years. And I just decided one day that I wanted to become a yoga teacher. I wanted to leave the restaurant industry. It was the only job that I ever really knew of for my whole adult life. And I decided to travel the world on my 40th birthday and just go and travel alone and go to all these different countries and practice yoga and eat food. And I had been doing a lot of smoothies in my sobriety journey, and I was posting them on Instagram, and people kept asking me for my recipes. So when I was away, I thought by the time I get home, I really need to create a space for my recipes because I love to cook. And because my life was changing direction so much, I thought it would be a great place to share my strength, my sobriety story, but also my recipes. And so it started back in 2015. And that original blog didn't work well. And it went through a couple different iterations until I landed with this person that I consider a very valuable part of my team to what you see today.
Oh, that's amazing. I love that your sobriety journey is kind of woven into your blog too, the history of blogging, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's so cool. So at what point did you, I guess, make the change from the previous blog to the new blog? What made you jump over?
Well, I think it was having other conversations actually with other food bloggers and who had become really good friends of mine. I have this habit. It's a good habit, I think. I have this habit of creating connections with people on Instagram over the last, I don't even know how many years I've been on Instagram now, and the people that I really connect with, I want to meet them in real life because really what's the point of having social media if you don't actually break that wall and actually get to know some of these people in real life. So I remember sitting down with a friend of mine over dinner in Vancouver, and she said, "So what is your goal with the website?" And at the time I was like, I didn't really have one. I was thinking, oh, I don't really have a goal. I just wanted to have a place for my recipes. But I think that over the last 2 years, 3 years, things have definitely shifted. COVID was a big shift for me, as it was for like millions and millions of other people. But I really wanted to start to monetize my blog. I wanted to make my website my business and my photography my business. And in order to do that, I needed to have like a better space, a more beautiful space, a space that people wanted to be on. And that's how it all happened.
Oh, yes. I love that. And then would you say that sobriety is still a part of your story on your blog?
It kind of gets interwoven every once in a while. I think that, I mean, it was so much part of my story when I first started the website back in 2015. And it was, I mean, because I was still so relatively new to my sobriety. But now that I've had some time, I just celebrated 12 years of sobriety back in January.
Oh,
so
congrats.
I know, it's like, how did that happen? Like, where does the time go? Like, people say, where does the time go? But when you have something like sobriety under your belt, and one day at one point in my life felt like an eternity. So like to say that I have 12 years is shocking to myself. But yeah, so it is still part of the website, but it just kind of comes in and out of some of the stories that I tell with the recipes.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool that you've celebrated 12 years. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
That's got to feel just huge. But like you said, kind of a time warp too. Like what happened? Where did that time go?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So you have this new and improved blog that you just love. You obviously prioritize photography and just making sure that it looks so beautiful, because it does.
Thank you.
It's a lot to do. I know that people who prioritize photography feel like they have extra because it takes so much time to hone the skill and just to have everything looking so good. So was there a point where you felt like it was just a lot to juggle?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it was obviously before this latest iteration of my website. I was really struggling to do all of the things. And I know that women, I mean, that's the song as old as time, right? We're just trying to hold up so many balls in the air. And at the time I was teaching yoga, I was teaching like 16, 17 classes a week. And then I was doing brand work. I was creating recipes. And what I was finding was that I was creating all of these recipes, but I just didn't have the time to get them onto my website. And I didn't also have the knowledge that so many other food bloggers seem to have. And I think that was one of the things I really wanted to talk with you about, Megan, because I feel like blogging can be daunting for the newcomer. And like, where do I start? What do I do? What are all of these tools? Or, and now there's just so many tools available to you. And like, what is all the lingo? Like, what are all the short form words? Like, it can be overwhelming, to say the least. And when you are busy on top of that, it's just like, so the website just started to take a nosedive because I wasn't getting anything on the website. And when I knew that I wasn't utilizing SEO properly. I wasn't utilizing any of the tools properly because I just didn't know. And I didn't have the time to do the deep dive into how to use those tools. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely does. Like in the past, I would say, 10 years ago plus when I started, there wasn't a formula. So we didn't really know, like we had to figure it out. We had to do it on our own. There weren't people to lean on necessarily for every category of blogging, but now we don't have to do it all anymore. We can get help in any area, literally, like today, if you wanted to.
I think that like the overall sphere has changed so much from 10 years ago to today as well. Like, as you said, when you're like, back then you were just figuring it out, and it just you had to put one foot in front of the other, and you learned as you went, you made mistakes. And for me, I guess I I had done that. I had done the making the mistakes, and I had the site, I had the space, but it wasn't working. Like Squarespace wasn't working. It just like, it was clunky. It was just not user friendly. And so that's when I decided it's time. I want to take this seriously. And, I wanted to create a book of sorts as my website, so that eventually someday when I do decide to write a book, I have this beautiful piece that's already kind of put together with all of these beautiful recipes, and it's kind of, yeah. So that's how it all started. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you made the decision, this is going to be a business. I'm going to make this the most amazing, beautiful thing. You started with Squarespace, would you say? Was that kind of the first decision?
I did. And the reason that I started with Squarespace is because it was supposed to be really really easy to build. And again, I don't have any background in computers. So I had hired my first original person. I had hired her to do the website, and it was just literally a space where I could plunk pictures down, put recipes down. I don't think anybody saw anything. I don't think anybody actually saw any of my work, but it was a space for me, and it was a stepping stone for sure. And then my second iteration was another person that I worked with, and she made it prettier for sure and more SEO friendly, but it still wasn't. I felt like I needed to go into a different, with a different host in order to make it more blog friendly. And so that's why I ended up with WordPress and with my last person, Satori, who's helped me grow it to where it is today.
Yay. I started on Squarespace too, Teri-Ann, so you were not alone there.
Okay,
and I held on to Squarespace for a long, long time, like way too long. And I don't even know why I was doing it. It was like just something to prove or so. I don't know. It was so silly. But I came to a point where my blog basically exploded. Like I had so many issues and nobody could explain it. And some expert told me, you need to just move to WordPress. And by that point, I had so many recipes. It felt extremely overwhelming, but I did it anyway. So glad I did. And if I could go back, I would not.
You did it on your own?
Well, no, I got help doing it, but I just in my mind, it felt overwhelming for anyone to do this job because there was so much content. Eat Blog Talk is thrilled to unveil the Eat Blog Talk Accountability Group, an exclusive community made for food bloggers who crave accountability, focus, and connection. We understand that not everyone is ready to dive into the Mini Minds group or the Masterminds program. That is why we've crafted this special offering for bloggers like you who want that extra push toward their aspirations but aren't yet able to make the financial or time commitment. Here's what the Eat Blog Talk Accountability Group has in store for you for this low introductory price of $34 a month. This ongoing membership has its own private Slack channel. You will gain access to a dedicated channel facilitated by the community manager at Eat Blog Talk, Teri-Ann Carty, for questions, insights, and collaboration. You will get weekly accountability check-ins so you can stay focused and motivated with those weekly check-ins in Slack to track and achieve your goals confidently. You will have access to productivity focus sessions. Join these optional live Zoom sessions twice a week to boost your productivity by working alongside your peers and tapping into that collective energy. And you will get monthly group Zoom calls replacing the former Clubhouse chats. Join these calls to connect, discuss current topics, share experiences, and celebrate achievements. Those calls will be hosted by me, Megan Porta, and I can't wait to see some of you there. If this sounds intriguing, head over to eatblogtalk.com/focus to sign up today. eatblogtalk.com/focus.
My assistant definitely, I remember when we were doing the swap and she was taking all of my existing stuff from Squarespace and she was putting it onto WordPress and she was just like, oh my, talk about her poor eyes. She was for hours and hours at a time. Yeah, it was a lot for sure.
Oh gosh, yeah, but so worth it.
Yes.
Yeah. So you leaned into getting help in that area. What else did you start getting help with?
Tori really was the person that I leaned on the most because, as I said, like when it comes to building anything from the back end, I was clueless. So I was it was a lot of trust that I had to trust that this person had my back and that we were, going to be working really well together. So that team building that way, that was amazing. And anybody else that I leaned on for help, I leaned on a lot of my colleagues. I leaned on a lot of my friends that I've found through Instagram, and, just started to listen to the advice of other people because, as I said before, there's just so much to learn. And, SEO is still kind of it's still kind of like I don't quite grasp it even still, but like I'm getting there, And so that's what I had to do. I had to like start to ask for help in all of the different areas for my website so that it could get to where I want it to be. And it's still not quite there, but like we're getting there. We're definitely moving in the right direction now.
If there's somebody listening who feels like they are needing help, but they don't know how to ask for help, or where to start maybe, do you have advice for them?
I would say ask your fellow friends on Instagram. If you have a really good group of photographers, website developers, or other fellow bloggers, starting the conversation about all sorts of things. And I'm talking from how to price a brand deal, how to price your photography, how to price a reel, or all of those things. Like just being able to have the courage to show up and say, I don't know. Having the courage to ask for help is one of the strongest things that we can do. And I think that leaning on all of the people that we have literally at our fingertips and just having the courage to reach out, I think that is the best advice that I can give because that's exactly what I have done. Like anybody that I respect and on Instagram that has done really well for themselves, or even like they're not even for some of my friends, they're not huge accounts, but they have so much knowledge. And a friend of mine she's done exceedingly well with her website. And so I lean on her all of the time for advice, and you're going to get surprised. People are going to want to share this information with you. So use it, right?
Yeah. Your advice is so amazing because I think most people would answer that with like, okay, well, you're going to want to start with your theme, like something more tangible as far as your website goes, but you started with having the courage to just ask someone for help and to know, who to ask, who to go to, I guess. And once that happens, don't you feel like you just set this amazing ball in motion of just good things coming to you, more help coming to you in different ways?
That's it. And I think that's how it started. That's how it all started for me. Like I just needed to surrender and ask for help. And, it started with my sobriety. And without my sobriety, honestly, I would not be even having this conversation. I know that for sure. And so if you don't ask for help, then you stay stuck. And the whole way that we move forward is through motion, and action. And so that's what I've done. I've just said, okay, I surrender. Who do I have to ask for help? And amazingly, the little angels do appear. They just start to, give you that information, and then you take what you want, you leave the rest, and you find your way. Eventually you will find your way. And trust me, like even the smallest bloggers, if you want to start this, you can. I know you can. I have faith in you because if I could do it, so can you.
Oh, beautiful. And you're so right. Those angels do show up when you take action, but you've got to have the courage to do that. And I think for a lot of people, asking for help is probably the first thing that needs to happen.
Like it's the hardest thing too. It really is, because some people see asking for help as a sign of weakness, and it's actually the biggest sign of strength. Right?
Oh, yes. And do you feel like your asking for help with your sobriety helped you make progress with your blog?
Absolutely. Like there's no question about it. Like if I hadn't asked for help 12 years ago to get sober, and be able to put one foot in front of the other, and the action in order to do that, putting one foot in front of the other, then there is no way that I would have ever had the courage to take myself on a year sabbatical by myself to like 6 different countries in the world. There's no way that I would have had the courage to quit a wonderful job that I was really, really good at and decide to become a full-time yoga teacher who now has a, full-time yoga company and a full-time business where I develop beautiful recipes and gorgeous photography. Like all of these things, like I had to ask for help along the way, or I don't have any formal training in photography or videography. I'll never forget when, Instagram decided to pivot as it did in a massive way from a beautiful platform where we would share our gorgeous photography to a video platform. And it was such a major pivot for so many of us food photographers, because many of us had never used our cameras for anything other than still photography. And here we are now having to pivot to now we're taking videos with our phones. And then I know for myself, I couldn't do that anymore. I was doing that for a long time, but I wanted things to be beautiful. So I switched to my DSLR, and then I was like, oh, the DSLR is not working. So now I'm going to switch to a mirrorless. So it's just like you learn as you go, you ask for help as you go. And, that's how it all goes.
Yep. That's the journey, right?
Yep, it is.
So sometimes asking for help means investing money. And a lot of bloggers, I mean, not to like point fingers or anything at all, because this is just a hard thing. It's hard to invest money when you're not making a lot of money. Does that make sense? So
Absolutely.
How do we ask for help in that way? Like what's the balance there? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, that's a good point. And because all of this costs money, like even if you wanted let's say you needed a Google Analytics person, or you needed an SEO person, or you needed this person, like everybody costs money. Everybody's time is worth something, right? So I was really lucky that I was able to find somebody that was not extremely expensive, and that I had the ability to be able to pay her a little bit of money to start this process. So I would look, maybe even when you're first starting out and you really need somebody to help you build your site, you can go to different schools and you can go to different colleges, you can go to different like marketing departments in these different schools and ask people, like ask students for help and sit down with them. And you might be able to find a really hungry student that really, really wants to build websites, and they'll do it for a relatively cheaper price. And I think that's, if I had to do this all over again back 10 years ago, and I know what I knew now, that's probably where I would start. I probably wouldn't go to somebody who builds websites, because somebody who builds websites is going to have a certain fee. So I would start with people that are just starting to learn themselves, but are extremely hungry. That's probably my best piece of advice that way.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice, because it's true. Even when it comes to things like web stories, if you go to somebody who just creates web stories, you're going to be paying more than if you find someone who's more of an all-encompassing assistant who can learn how to create web stories for you, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of my train of thought when I hire people, is like, are you organized? Are you kind? Are you adaptable? And I have certain qualities that I look for, and I know then that they can learn pretty much anything. And that's been my strategy, and it's worked really well.
Yeah, and you also have to, I think the other thing for me anyway that is important is that you also have to have the same sort of, like when you said kind, I think that you have to kind of be aligned in your own values. Like I wouldn't work with somebody that I don't personally think is a good person, like I would like to know that the person that I'm working with has the same values as me, that we have the same kind of work ethic as me, that we align on a lot of different things just out of the gate before I put all my eggs in their basket. Does that make sense?
It does, for sure. That is probably number one for me, is the kindness piece. And if that doesn't line up, then none of the other things matter. I don't
That's
even go
right.
there.
Yeah, exactly. It's really good. It's like anything, any sort of relationship that you have, right? You have to have a baseline. And if your baseline is not kind of copacetic and you can't see one another through that baseline, then it's kind of a non-starter. So yeah, and there's so many other people out there that will connect with you and will be able to do the work that you need them to do at that time in your life. And I think that, we all go through these stepping stones where we have to start somewhere. And that was for me. I started somewhere, and it was a student of mine at the yoga studio who built my first website. And
Oh,
then the second person that built my website had been a fellow teacher that had decided that she didn't want to teach yoga anymore. So she was now building websites, but she helped me with my second website, so like there's stepping stones. You're not going to go, unless you're flush with cash all the time, you're not going to go to the top person. You have to start small,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, this is such an important conversation. I really just appreciate you sharing your story and bringing all of this to the table. It's something that all of us need to hear no matter what stage we're in, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, even if you're an advanced food blogger, you still might have a hard time releasing control and surrendering some things in your business. And if you're
That's
a
right.
brand new food blogger, you probably have this in your mind as well. So I think all across the board, it's really important conversation.
Yeah. Releasing control and releasing the expectation and the pressure on myself to know all of the things that I was supposed to know. Like, I wanted to ask people that did have the answers to the questions that I was asking, because I could just like run myself into the ground at home, just being super frustrated, and then not having any time for my photography or any time for recipe development, and just trying to figure out the back end of a website. Oh my gosh. Like, I can't even tell you.
Oh, yeah. It can be a lot, right? Yeah, definitely. I'm kind of in this spot right now where I just feel that because I've got so many different things going on, not just the blogs, but events and podcasts. I need so much help right now. And I've never been outsourcing more than I have been currently.
Yeah, good for you. Good for you. That's
It feels
awesome.
good.
I'm sure it does.
Oh, yes. And finding those right people, like you said, it's more of a journey than like, oh, I need to go find that perfect person who's going to be with me forever. Just start with where you're at and
Yeah.
build from there.
Yes, that's it exactly. And, I certainly did not have thousands and thousands of dollars. Like, I've gotten quotes from web developers before who are my friends that I was like, wow, I can't even go near, I can't touch that. So, you find the people, and those people will show up in your life. Like those little angels, they will show up in your life, if you are open to receive that kind of energy, if you're open to receive the gifts that people will give when you kind of need them the most.
Beautiful. Is there anything else you want to touch on, Teri-Ann, before we start saying goodbye?
Well, no, I think that's it. I think
Okay.
that's good. I love what I do. I love sharing my story. I love sharing recipes, and I hope that, I hope that I can keep doing this forever. It's great.
I
Yeah.
love that.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for this. What an important conversation. Do you have either a favorite quote or words of inspiration to leave us with today?
Please don't give up. Please don't give up. If I can do it, you can too. That is my biggest words of inspiration for anybody. You can rise up from the darkest places in your life. And when you are ready to surrender, ask for help, you can accomplish whatever it is that you have, your dreams and all of that. You can live your dream.
So beautiful. Thank you so much for that. We will put together a show notes page for you, Teri-Ann. If anyone wants to go look at those, you can head to eatblogtalk.com/Teri-Ann Carty, and that's TERIANN CARTY. Tell everyone where they can find you, because they definitely need to go look at your beautiful blog.
Oh, that's so sweet of you. I kept things really simple, and this is something that maybe we can have a conversation with off air, but I never changed my name. I wanted to keep it the same on all of my platforms. Like I never came up with a fun name for my website. So I just kept it Teri-Ann Carty. And so that's where you can find me everywhere. You can find me Teri-Ann Carty on Instagram, Teri-Ann Carty on Facebook, Teri-Ann Carty on Pinterest. And I think it's T.A. Carty on TikTok. And then my blog is terianncarty.com. So I kept it real simple for people.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. And it's simple. Yeah, like you said, it's simple and you don't need to worry about other people taking it because...
Yeah, that's it, because it's me.
Yeah, it's you.
Yeah, that's me.
So everyone, I encourage you to go look because I promise you'll be like, oh yeah, this is beautiful. And you will be inspired 100%. So thanks again, Teri-Ann, for being here. And thank you so much for listening, food bloggers. I will see you next time. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Eat Blog Talk. Don't forget to rate and review Eat Blog Talk on your favorite podcast player. Thank you, and I will see you next time.